Namaste, welcome to Buddha's teaching. Today we're going to talk about a topic that is very easily overlooked by many people in all races, in all nationalities or religions. Sin. Having done sin, right? So sin, in another word, is something unwholesome, right? Something that is not good. So when we say that we have sinned, it means that we have done something that is uh, unwholesome, right? So in some religion, they use the word sin, and in Buddhism, we use the word unwholesome. Okay, so the two have the same meaning pretty much. So sin or unwholesome, what is it? Most of the time when people say that they have done something unwholesome or they have sinned, they usually refer to something that they do that or they have said, or they had done something, okay, that have done something bad, have done something not good. So, and also a lot of time when there are people, I'm not sure how many people are still doing it right now. There are people who goes to repent their sin or their unwholesomeness that they have done. Okay, they go to the church to confess their sin, or they go to the temple, go to the Buddhist temple to confess their sin in front of the monk, or in front of the Buddha statue, whatever it is that they do. There, some people still do that. Okay, that they said sorry for having done sin. So now the thing is, oftentimes uh, same people, month after month, year after year, they still come back to confess about other sins that they do, or similar sin, or some similar unwholesomeness that they do, that they did, they had done. So in other words, it is it is something that people could not understand what that is. Okay, or they say cannot control their urge, control their desire or whatnot. Okay, so even though they come to confess what they have done, but they still keep doing it. Okay, so that is what we're gonna look into. Okay, why is it that it's so difficult? Why is it that people cannot uh, stop doing what they think that is not wholesome, is not good, but they still do it anyway, right? Regardless. So just like I said, a lot of time when we talk about having done sin or having done something that is unwholesome, we normally talk about something that we have done here and there, yesterday, the day before, last week, or last month. Whether we said something bad to some people, we did something, we had done something bad that we shouldn't have done, and so we have some kind of regret, some kind of remorse that we have, right? So we know that, okay, I have done something not good, I shouldn't have done. So for that, people recognize, at least people recognize that they have done something unwholesome, something not good. Now, how is it that, how can we avoid doing that again? The thing that people often overlook is that it's because people do not really understand what is uh, bad action, right? What is unwholesome, okay? Because they think unwholesome is something that they already done to somebody, okay? It's something that's already done, that actions already took place, so that's sin. Uh, in Buddha's teaching, the Buddha always, of course, teaches to look back inside, right? So sin or unwholesome activities that we have done, let's say, okay, um, it doesn't just happen, by itself, okay. It has to start with some kind of trigger, some kind of desire, okay, um, in within our mind, all right. So the mental activity take place first, okay. So the mental activity takes place, whether do you have there's some kind of desire arise within, or there's some kind of anger that arise within. So that takes place first, okay. And after that comes out with in some kind of action, whether through our speech or through the physical activity that we do, okay. So but first it starts with the mind, right? So just like the Buddha said in the uttering, Buddha's uttering, the Dhammapada, the mind precedes all things, right? If there's no mind, there's not nothing else. So the mind precedes all things, all the emotion, all the realities that we are experiencing, okay. So there's some kind of mental activity that takes place first, okay. And then that mental activity gives rise, okay, to whether desire or to anger, right? That generate hatred, or desire that leads to jealousy, or desire leads to some kind of suffering, some kind of uh, upset, frustration, or whatnot, and it leads to some kind of action, right? And when the action goes out, it's negative, it's not good, right? It's bad, and that is when we say, oh, I afterward, later on, we say I have done bad things, I have said bad things to other people, I have done harm to other people, and things like that. So that's what we say, I have sinned, or I have done unwholesome things. So we can, we can keep, confessing, repenting ourselves at the church or at the temple or whatnot. But if we do not understand what goes on in here, right, we're gonna keep repeating the mistake over and over and over again, and we gonna keep regretting why is it that we cannot control ourselves, right? So that's why it's important to understand what is sin, the root of sin, okay, the unwholesome things that we all have. So when we go to confession, that means the sins already happen, the unwholesome act already happened, okay. So but what we do not know for most of us is that, okay, how did it come about, right? How did it come about that leads us to do such a bad activity or bad speech, right? So in Buddhism, so that's why the Buddha taught us about the three poison, right? Uh, Greed or desire, anger or hatred, and the ignorance, right? And those are the three cause of suffering that leads to all kinds of issue in our lives. So it's of utmost importance for us to understand the root cause, okay, the root cause of the sin that we have done, the root cause of the unwholesome activity that we have done, whether through speech or through physical, uh, action. So once we understand the root cause, then next time when that happen, we can start. We need to catch the 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 cause right at the root instead of letting it manifest itself into full blown out of control scenario. Because when you have done sin, when we have done unwholesome activities, that means the negativity already happened, right? It's already past. It's done. You already we have already done that the unwholesome things. So we need to nip it right at the beginning. Don't before it even start. See, before it even start, right? We have to look at where that come from. That's that's where we need to study, and that's where that's one of the important teaching, right, from the Buddha. Go look at the root, okay? Don't just okay, you have done something wrong, and you just go confess, and then okay, that's it, and go on, and then repeating other mistake again and again and again. If you truly want to become somebody better than yesterday, okay, then you need to look inside, right? Go to the source of the unwholesome activity that why, what the reason that you have done that, okay? What is the reason that you have sinned, you have done certain negative activity. So that is the things that most of the people overlook, and they don't, and not many places teach people how to look at the root of the problem, to look at the root of the unwholesome activity that we have, look at the root of the sin that we have done. Okay, so that is where Buddhism come in. Okay, Buddha's teaching teach us to look at the root, so that next time it doesn't come into a full fruition. It doesn't come into a full blown of negative things that can go on. So for example, if we are not aware of the negative emotion that is about to rise, then we let it grow into full bloom, and let's say it's anger, then we get into some kind of argument, some kind of disagreement, some kind of fight, heated conversation with whoever, right? With your loved one, with your husband or wife, with your children or parents, brother or sister, right, or your friend. It's because you do not know how to look at the source of where that would come from, and you already let the 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 the, the seed of the negative activity grows already, right? It starts with a little seed, so whatever that is, it's already grow. That's why you already have all kinds of commotion, and and flare-ups and emotion, all that is already, in full bloom. But the Buddha said, okay, go back to the source, go look into the source, and watch where that arises, and become aware of that source. Okay, when it arises and you become aware of it, that's where you can eliminate it, eradicate that, you know, uh, whatever idea, whatever thinking that you have during that particular moment, instead of letting it grow out of control and become some kind of fight, some kind of negative emotion, and it turns into unwholesome activity, and it turns into what we call having done sin, doing sin. Okay, so again, look at the root, right? Look at the root, and that is the root cause of suffering. Or you can solve, in this case, you can say, look at the root cause of unwholesome activity, look at the root cause of sin. Okay, what caused us to do certain things? Okay, and it always goes to down to those three poisons, right? The greed or desire, anger or hatred, and the ignorance, and the faculties, right? The unwholesome mind faculties, which is, we already discussed before. There are 12 of them in the unwholesome mind faculty group, and you look at them, and you see how they grow. Okay, so of course, everything starts with a mind, right? And what is mind, right? You see how the lesson is going from uh, one entity to the other. It has its connection, right? As we all know, the mind comes from the six senses, okay? And the six senses become because of consciousness through the eye, the ear, the nose, and all that stuff, right? We receive information, contact, right? It comes in and it goes into sixth sense, mano, or the chitta, and that triggers. Okay, that's where the important moment is. And whatever we experience, it triggers some kind of thought. Okay, it triggers some kind of thought, and that thought creates or generates emotion a lot most of the time. That's where you look at, right? Instead of letting it go all the way. When something happens, you see something, and then a thought start arising. You become aware, and then there's some kind of emotion, there's some kind of desire rise up, or anger rise up, or what. That's where you catch it, instead of going with the emotion, instead of going with the flow of whatever the mind is thinking. And then if you do that, then you already lose control, right? Because the mind takes over. The mind will take you to do unwholesome things again, right? To do sin again. But if you look back, if you can have awareness of your own emotion, of your own mental activity, when you encounter all the experience that we experience right now, and then it goes in, and then you have this feeling, this emotion, right? You say, oh, okay, is that not positive or negative? Or what is it I'm thinking? What is the thinking generating, right? The thinking is the thinking generating something wholesome or unwholesome, right? See, that's important right there. That is where you need to look at, right? Not go out there. That's where you need to look at. You look at, oh, wait a minute. Okay, my mind is thinking of something wholesome or something unwholesome, right? Because when your mind is thinking of unwholesome thing, it creates negative energy. and that leads to negative speech, negative action, and that is what sin. That's what sin is, right? That is unwholesome. So that is where we need to look at. Most of us, we overlook this happening inside. Okay, we keep doing stuff, we keep doing things, wholesome, unwholesome, whatever. We just keep going with whatever this thing is thinking about, and we just go do it, on a day-to-day, day basis. We just go with the flow, right? We just go with what this thing is doing. The Buddha said, no. Okay, watch. This thing here is doing thinking. Watch that thinking, right? By observing itself. Okay, what is it thinking about? Is it generating uh, frustration, agitation inside? And because agitation or whatever, it can lead to negative speech, negative, emotion, negative action, and all that. Watch that, okay? Because it has desire. The mind has desire behind it that keep pushing it, right? Keep pushing it, doing it, and that's where that's where the culprit is, right? That's where the Buddha said, look at that, right? It's in here. It's when it starts bubbling up, say, look at that. Okay, that's where you need to prick that bubble. Boom. You say, no, no, no. That is unwholesome, right? That is unwholesome. Because from this thinking, it generates unwholesome thinking that can lead to my unwholesome speech or unwholesome activity. Okay, it's in here. It's in all of us. It's in here. Okay, and why is it so important? One thing is that when we start to observe this that is going on inside, right, then we can understand, oh, this is wholesome or what is unwholesome. If you can just watch what is unwholesome and don't let it happen, that's unwholesome. If if unwholesome mind arise, let's say, and that unwholesome mind wants you to say something to another person, which can create friction, create issue, right? You say, so that is gonna lead to issue. This is called unwholesome, right? I'm not gonna do that. So you keep quiet, right? Silence. You keep quiet. You're not following. You're not following this urge that is inside. The urge to respond. The urge to talk back, the urge to do something back, that urge is I. Okay, that urge is I. Okay, instead of do that, you said, right, I'm watching this unwholesome activity that's happening inside. So when you keep watching that, okay, and you will see that everything is impermanent, right? After a while, this thing change again. The mood change, the emotion change, and all that. If you keep doing this day in and day out, start to nip the unwholesome activity right in the bud, right? BUD in the bud, like that. Don't let it happen. After a while, there's only if if you have wholesome thing. Let's say you want to say something good, nice, then you let it go, right? You let it grow because it's something nice, right? So now you eradicating negative energy. You only let positive energy flow. Okay. After a while, you will see the change inside of you. Okay. You will see a more pleasant feeling. Okay. So, oh, I think it's better. Okay. By watching this emotion, by watching uh, what is urging this emotion to produce whatever speech or action, just watch that. And then after a while, you start to feel a lot calmer, easier, right? And more pleasant. And this is the right path. Okay, this is the path that you want to take to be a better, pleasant, a more pleasant person one day at a time, by watching what is going on inside here, what is thinking, what is urging you to say or urging you to respond, urge you to do, right? Don't let it go and then you already commit sin. You already commit something unwholesome. That is too late, right? Watch in here before it manifests, right? Before the negativities manifest. That's important. That is where you need to look at. That's where we all need to look at. That is the practice. And it's not simple. It sounds simple, especially with the mind, a mind that never been trained to look at itself before. The mind works very fast, as you all know, right? So you never train to look at this. It's gonna be difficult. But what difficult or not, we have to start somewhere by looking at this, start to nip it at the beginning, one negativity at a time. If you can do one or two a day, at least you say, hey, I, you know, I've got to do one today. I stop myself one, and then next day you stop a couple times. You watch the emotion. You say, oh, okay. After a while, it grows. Okay, when you when you eradicate the negativities, there's only positivity that is running. Then you will have positive energy. The positive energy will emanate to people, right? People will see whether you emanate positive or negative energy. Okay, and from that you will see the interaction will change, the way that people interact with you and things like that, and the way you interact with other people is based on this understanding of not generating unwholesome karma, okay, unwholesome action or creating sin, right? So that is where the important thing is that we need to look at. Look at the root, go to the root, all right? So, and that is, of course, part of the Four Noble Truths, right? Suffering, root of suffering, that is the Noble Truth number 2. All right, so that's what I like to share with you all today. Okay, I hope you get something out of this. Right, until next time, I like to pay respect to the triple gems. I like to pay respect to the Buddha. I like to pay respect to the Dharma, and I like to pay respect to the Sangha. Namaste.